and start becoming defenders of executive. Mr. Speaker, that is wrong. Mr. Speaker, I also expected that the president will talk about in specific terms, not in general terms, the issue of punitive taxation in this country. Mr. Speaker, there is no country in this world which has grown by overtaxing its people. Overtaxation will affect the saving, it will affect innovation, it will affect investment, it will even lead to increased deficits. It will also discourage work. So we cannot say that we want to increase taxes so that we have more revenue, so that we can do well as a country. That is wrong. Already we are receiving reports of capital flight. We are receiving reports of closure of companies and therefore loss of jobs for our people. Mr. Speaker, these are issues that I expected the president to talk about. The other issue, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of inclusivity, non-discrimination, which is one of the values of Article 10. We expected the president, because he was appearing before a House of Honor, to talk about what his deputy president has been telling Kenyans, that Kenya is a company with the shareholders, that some Kenyans are bigger shareholders than others. The president kept quiet. And yet, the second in command, the person who would take over as the president if something happens to the president, is the one promoting the culture of discrimination, the culture of non-inclusivity, ethnicity. And Mr. Speaker, we have had reports that recruitment to KDF, recruitment to Teacher Service Commission, recruitment to KRA was done in a very discriminative manner. That some communities benefited than others. Mr. President kept quiet on this. These are serious issues that people wanted to hear about. When we talk about international obligations, Mr. Speaker, the bigger issue of Haiti, that Kenya is going to send forces to Haiti. This is a very, considering the situation in Haiti, we expected the president to shed light on that, because this is one of the obligations, and he kept mum about it. He has already made a decision that the country is going to send forces to Haiti, and yet the Constitution, under Article 240, requires parliamentary approval. He has done that because he knows that probably some of us here are just voting machines. He will make a decision and come here and put a motion, and the voting machines will vote. Mr. Speaker, my friend Matthew wants to disrupt me. I want to tell him that he has just walked in. He found me talking. He should allow me to finish. Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sotsi, there is an intervention by Senator John Matthew. What's your point of order, John Matthew?
Mr. Speaker, of course, I would not have wanted to interrupt my very good friend, Senator Sotsi, but I would want your guidance on whether he is in order to refer to honorable colleagues as voting machines.
Indeed, you're out of order to that extent, Senator Sotsi. You need to withdraw that and apologize. And two, for your information, you recall that there was a motion tabled before a report, that was tabled before the House from the National Assembly and this House on the deployment of forces to Haiti, which was debated before the floor of the House. You also need to be aware about that, even as you make the comments you've just made. As regards the point of order by Senator Medu, you need to withdraw and apologize. That is the directive from the chair, and take note of the second comments on the Haiti matter. What's your point of order, Minority Leader?
Speaker, you've just noticed that my colleague Metho just walked in. He did not even want to listen to Osotsi. And people are being called voting machine. I do not think, Mr. Speaker, that Mr. Osotsi meant any senator inside here as a voting machine. He simply said a voting machine is where we put our vote. But we are not voting machines ourselves. Huh? Mr. Speaker, it must be understood here. By telling Osotsi to withdraw because he has said voting machine, I think it's most unfair. Simply because I do not think Mr. Osotsi either pointed at any senator, and if so, then I do not think, Mr. Speaker, every time the opposition speaks, it's like, it looks like to some right to speak, have a right to speak our mind. I'm glad my brother Khadwale has been able to realize, because this is debating chamber. If we keep on gagging, and that is why we are where we are now, because no one, we have made this house, Mr. Speaker, not interesting.
You've been heard.
Yeah.
Assume your seat.
It's not interesting anymore because members here don't want, they are not here. Look at the house.
Senator Madzayo, order.
Look at the house.
Order, Senator Madzayo.
Mr. Speaker, with a lot of, with
Senator
tremendous
Madzayo,
respect.
Assume your seat. Your point has been taken, and I respond to it right away.
With a lot of
I'll
respect,
respond to
Mr.
it right
Speaker,
away.
as a leader of the House,
Resume your seat.
as a leader of the House, I'm saying with tremendous respect, restore the energies that senators have to come
Resume
back
your
to the
seat,
House.
Senator Madzayo.
Yeah?
Resume your seat.
We are spoiling this House. I
Order,
can tell
Senator
you. We are
Madzayo.
destroying this House.
Order,
If that
Senator
is the
Madzayo.
attitude.
Order, Senator Madzayo. I want to just note the fact that you also just came in. You haven't been seated the whole of this afternoon, Senator Madzayo. I listened very well to the comments by Senator Osotsi as regards to the comments about voting machines. Senator Osotsi, you are directed by the chair to withdraw the comment, making reference to members as voting machines.
Some of us probably
Statement I'm saying, and I directed so.
Mr. to be the voting machine aspect. But you know, I'm an expert in the, and I know what a machine does. A machine is a gadget that is directed what to do, and it does exactly what it's directed to do. Garbage in.
Senator Karen Nyamu.
Me an opportunity to make my contribution to this motion on the President's speech on his State of the Nation address. Mr. Speaker, the President's speech was very timely, and it came at a time when Kenyans are hard hit and are experiencing deteriorating. Mr. Speaker, protect me from...
Order, please. Watch your language and proceed.
Mr. Speaker, before Senator Madzayo behaved in a very unparliamentary manner, I was saying that the President's speech was very timely because it came at a time when Kenyans are hard hit by the deteriorating and this speech was very inspiring to Kenyans because the President outlined what he's doing to improve the economy, and it ignited hope to the in the efforts that they have put to Speaker, in a record to have tangible effects to the country, and Mr. Speaker, I will outline some of the gains that we have had as a country. And the first one, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that the President has enhanced the justice delivery to Kenyans by appointing the 6 judges whose appointment was unlawfully delayed. And we know the far-reaching effects of that as practitioners of the law. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, the President has given the police service independence by making the IG so that they are in control of their budget, Mr. Speaker. And number 2, Mr. Speaker, subsidizing consumption to subsidizing production, Mr. Speaker. And this move, a very smart one, Mr. Speaker, the 5.5 million bags of fertilizers that are that the President has been able to subsidize has increased production in the farms and in turn has reduced the food. Mr. Effort by the President to curb the growing appetite for the country on the public debt has also gained fruit. Mr. Speaker, it was very inspiring to hear that indeed we are going to be able to pay the first installments of 300 million USD that is part of the 2 billion of the Eurobond, Mr. Speaker. And this is very inspiring issue of. And Mr. Speaker, also, the transformational agenda has also been felt heavily in the health sector. And I want to commend my colleague senators because in record time also, when we were in Turkana, we passed 2 other. Mr. Speaker, another very key component of this President's agenda is the digitalization of government services. He has led in this initiative in ensuring that 13,000 government services are now digitally available promptly and more effectively and efficiently for the Kenyan. And Mr. Speaker, in seeing that this effectively delivered to Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, I have drafted a bill referred to as the coming to the Mr. Speaker in the coming days. I urge my Senate colleagues to support me. And one of the provisions of that bill, Mr. Speaker, is that to make it mandatory for all civil servants, current and future, to have a certification, a globally recognized certification on ICT, and also to inculcate the digital literacy in the primary schools and high school, and also our tertiary institutions, Mr. Speaker. And as I conclude, Mr. Speaker, I want to end in the words of the President, His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, that we have had to take hard decisions and make painful choices because we owe it to Kenyans to do the right thing and confront facts as they are without flinching or equivocating. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Nyamo. Now, honorable members, pursuant to a resolution of this House of 15th of February 2023, the debate pursuant to Standing Order 27.6 on the presidential speech was resolved that this would be done limited to a maximum of 3 sitting days, meaning today is our last day to debate on this particular motion, and I will therefore call upon the mover to reply, but in his reply, he will donate his time to the remaining senators who have requested to contribute to this motion. Senator Boni, proceed to reply and donate part of your time to...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you, and before I respond, for 10 minutes, so that then, Mr. Speaker, I can donate time to Senator Shakila, Senator Mundiki, Senator Munyihaki, Faki, and Senator Tobiko. Is it possible?
Senator Boni, within the remaining time before the House rise, we share that time, donate. As you reply, they also limit their contributions to the available time.
Which means, Mr. Speaker, my intervention 3 minutes, it would have given them 15 minutes. But because of that now, colleagues, if you don't mind, you can do 2 minutes each. That will be 8 minutes, and then the balance of the time I respond. So I'll start in this order: Senator Shakila, Senator Faki, Senator Mundigi, and finally Tobiko, 2 minutes each, then I respond. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order, Senator Faki?
Mheshimiwa Spika, nimekaa hapa kutoka saa 8:30 kusubiri fursa hii. Na kwa vile sikuweza kupata fursa ya kuchangia hotuba ya rais, na chukua hizo dakika 2 ambazo nimepewa kumregeshea kiongozi wa wachache. Thank you.
Senator Shakila, are you taking your 2 minutes? Proceed.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Ni kweli saa nyingine tunaambiwa hatuongei kwa hili bunge na ni nafasi tunanyimwa ama hatupati. But anyway, namshukuru kwa kupata hii nafasi ya dakika 3 kupitia kwa majority whip. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza mimi ningependa kusema nataka kuchangia kwa hii hotuba ya rais ambao kwamba kwanza nianze na kuleta mafanikio yake ambao kwamba ni kilimo ya mbolea kupunguza bei kutoka 6,500 mpaka 2,500. Kuongezeka kwa mapato ya kilimo kwa ekari 1,200. Nampongeza sana kwa hayo. Vile vile kwa upande wa uvuvi amesema ataka kuanzisha vituo 22 za tovuti za kutua katika mikoa ya Pwani na ya Nyanza. Pia tunampongeza. Lakini pia kuna changamoto Mheshimiwa Spika ya kwa kina. Changamoto ya kwanza ni kuhusu elimu ya juu. Elimu imekuwa hilo ni kitu ambacho ni swala zima ambalo hakuliangazia kwa kina na kupeana suluhisho la kudumu kwa kupanda kwa bei ya elimu. Mheshimiwa Spika, wazazi wanahangaika sana juu ya gharama za elimu na vile vile changamoto ya watoto kupata elimu bora na ya elimu ya nafuu. Hayo ni masuala ambayo kwamba rais angefaa yaongelee na tuone kwamba amepeana suluhisho la kudumu la wazazi kupambana na elimu ya bei ya juu. Mheshimiwa Spika, kubwa sana kwa kukosa kugusia juu ya petroli na mafuta kwa sababu kupanda kwa bei ya petroli na mafuta inaleta ongezeko kubwa sana kwa bei ya usafiri, kwa ongezeko la chakula hususan ambao inatoka kwa viwanda tofauti. Kilimo pia kile cha umwagiliaji wa maji pia kinatumia mafuta, kinaongeza bei. Kwa hivyo tegemeo kubwa la mashini ya kilimo inategemea petroli. Hiyo pia ni changamoto. Nikimalizia ni kwamba tumeona kwamba rais hakuwa na ramani ya kina ya kuleta mabadiliko ya uchumi. Na vile vile hakuleta mikakati wala hatua zozote ambazo zitaweza kuchukuliwa kubadilisha uchumi wetu. Kwa hivyo tunaona kwa jumla kwamba kuna maswali nyeti ambayo kwamba hakuyagusia, ya mafuta, ya elimu, kupanda kwa bei ya maisha na vile vile masala ya kina ya ramani ya kubadilisha uchumi. Kwa hivyo tunajiona kwamba bado tuko pale tunahangaika na maisha, hatukupewa suluhisho lolote la kudumu la kubadilisha maisha ya Mkenya, ya kupunguza bei ya maisha na kupunguza bei ya elimu, ambayo kwamba ni kigezo kikubwa sana. Watoto wanakaa majumbani, hawasomi, elimu inabadilika mara hivi mara vile, gharama kila aina kwa mzazi, ambayo inashindikana. Kwa hivyo tunaomba rais aangazie hayo maswali muhimu ambayo yanamfinya mwananchi wa kawaida. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator Mundigi.
Asante Bwana Spika. Mimi naunga mkono rais wa Kenya ambaye kwa ile mazungumzo alizungumza siku ya Alhamisi, ambaye ingawa ya kikao kuna watu wengine maseneta ama wajumbe wa kuhudhuria, lakini mazungumzo yake ilikuwa mzuri kwa sababu aligusia mambo ya ndeni katika Kenya, katika county, vile county zimekuwa na madeni nyingi na county nyingi tumeona sikipatiwa pesa ya kulipa, na pia serikali ya Kenya wakati wa miaka iliyopita alikuja akakuta kuna madeni, na hiyo madeni ambayo iko nje inaendelea kulipwa. Mambo mengine aligusia kama mimi vice chairperson wa agriculture, aligusia mambo ya kilimo, akusema ni county gani katika Kenya tuko na county 47 na akusema ni Busia ama ni Embu, akasema mambo ya fertilizer kutoka 6,000 mpaka na 500 mpaka 2,500 ndio kilimo yote, kwa sababu kila mtu yote amekubali kulima, ndio kila mtu apate chakula, ndio wale watu wanadanganya watu kuweka sufuria kwa kichwa, hiyo mambo yote tuwache. Akazungumza mambo ya elimu. Katika elimu kwa kipindi ya miaka 10 hakuja ajiriwa walimu. Hata watu wengi wamesoma mambo ya elimu na wakaanza hiyo kazi, na sasa ameajiri walimu 50,000. Pia aligusia mambo ya afya. Mambo ya afya, watu wengi walikuwa wanafanya kazi lakini wakuwa nalipwa. Ametoa hiyo mambo yote kutoka kwa national government mpaka inaenda mpaka masinani. Mambo mengine aligusia ni mambo ya manyumba, ambaye wale watu wanjiwezi kwa kipindi ambaye inakuja watu wengi watakuwa na manyumba. Mambo mengine aligusia ni mambo ya kupanda miti kutoka juu mpaka kwa vijijini, na tuko na ushuhuda yale alifanya ati kila county siku ya Jumatatu, governors, executive wote, watu wote, kila county sote walienda kupanda miti, na tumeona ametoa 5% mpaka imeenda kwa county government, kwa CDF iende ikapande miti. Kwa hivyo nataka kusema, amesema mambo mengi yao ndio waweze kupunguza mambo ya biashara, iweze ya disability. Akaongea mambo mengi. Nikimalizia ni kusema katika Kenya, nataka niwaambie watu wa Kenya, kuna mtu mmoja, watu wawili walienda kanjenga nyumba, mbanga mmoja akanjenga juu ya mawe na mwingine akanjenga juu ya mchanga, na wakati mvua ilinyesha wale watu walijenga juu ya mchanga, hiyo nyumba ambaye ilikuwa mkubwa sana, lakini wale walijenga katika ile nyumba ambaye ni kwa mawe ilisimama. Nataka niambie watu wa Kenya, tuko kwa shinda, lakini nataka nihakikishie serikali ya Kenya Kwanza tunajenga kwa nyumba ambaye iko kwa mawe, na tunajua tutashinda hii vita yote. Kwa hiyo nauliza senta wote tuungane pamoja tusapoti serikali ya Kenya Kwanza.
Senator Mundigi, your time is up. Senator Paris, topic.
Wow. Thank you, Speaker. To really be able to engage myself with the presidential speech or the presidential address to the nation in 3 minutes must be genius, Mr. Speaker. That the president was making this speech, you know, we must appreciate the environment that the president was making the speech, where the cost of living has gone high, and it's good because the president did acknowledge that fact. The fuel is struggling, but Mr. Speaker, I do appreciate the fact that the president went into work immediately he was sworn in. The appointment had been delayed. Mr. Speaker, he also designated the Inspector General of Police as the accounting officer. Mr. Speaker, we also appreciate that the president did appoint Raga to lead a task force to review the terms and conditions of the members of the national police. The president did mention and went through the measures that have been taken to support agricultural production. Of course, popularly now in the country known is the issue of fertilizers. I'm bringing the cost down from 6,500 to 2,500. Mr. Speaker, he mentioned the issue of livestock value chain, Mr. Speaker, although I would have wanted the president to dwell more on the issue of livestock production and the value chain. Value chain, Mr. Speaker, including how we are going to benefit from the sales of hides and skins, Mr. Speaker. And so, Mr. Speaker, this, I believe the president must be on course on this one, Mr. Speaker, and is being awaited for. Mr. Speaker, the president mentioned, and this, I'm sure a lot of Kenyans were relieved that he mentioned the issue of Eurobonds, the $2 billion, and that 300 million US dollars have already been paid in advance, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, he mentioned the Hustler Fund that has benefited a lot of common Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue of universal health care and the community health providers now, Mr. Speaker, who've been engaged. Mr. Speaker, I can go through quite a bit of what he had mentioned, and even the issue of education by employing the employment of 56,000 teachers, Mr. Speaker, across the country, and really this has benefited all regions, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I believe the president is on course. He has put the structures down. The structures may be paining at the moment, but I believe there is a time that Kenyans will come to appreciate all the structures and systems he has put in place to be able to deliver according to the plan of the Kenya Kwanza, Mr. Speaker. And so, Mr. Speaker, I do support and I appreciate the efforts that the president has put. Thank you.
Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to respond. I want to thank the entire House for the interest they have shown in this particular very important motion and the valuable contributions. My thanks to members of this Senate on the government side, because, Mr. Speaker, they have remained factual. I also want to thank members of the opposition, because whereas they were critiquing, whereas they were speaking in the negative, but I didn't see too much of criticism. What I saw was critic, which is most welcome. I want to end, Mr. Speaker, by using this opportunity on behalf of the people of Kakamega County to thank the President for giving us the second National Polytechnic to add to Shikalagala National Polytechnic. Now we've launched Shiamberere Technical Polytechnic, National Polytechnic. We are grateful to the President. We also want to laud the President on the work he's doing in improvement of roads. And the people of Kakamega, again, want to thank the President because at the moment, the construction of Ikoli, Kimangeti, Malaba, Samiti, Nabaholo, Chewiusi Road is in the process. And finally, the people of Tarbo constituency and people of Likuyani constituency in Kakamega, we are very happy because the road from Tarbo to Seregea to Soy is underway. It's 60% complete. This is something we are celebrating. And then finally, but most important, I want to thank the President for allowing me a meeting with him, during which, Mr. Speaker, clarity was put on the confusion that was starting to arise in the upgrading of Kakamega airstrip to an international airport, where he reiterated that the airport will be constructed at Iwichina, the current site, and also directed that with quick speed, the governor of Kakamega facilitates in paying off the settlement of the people who are being moved. And further, the president committed that his half of the cost of relocating these people, we owe it to him, and we want to assure him of our firm support. Finally, but not least, I noticed in his speech, the president steered from politics. In the speeches of Mwai, under whose I was in this house, in the speeches of Uhuru Kenyatta, under whose tenure I was in this house, I saw the tendency for them to do politics on the address. But President Ruto steered clear of politics, and I want to laud him for this. The time for us to do politics will come, and even when we want to do a little bit of it, we know where to do it from. We don't waste the time of this House. I thank members, and I beg to respond.
Honorable members, pursuant to Standing Order number affect counties. And I now put the question. Honorable Senators, I put the question that pursuant to Standing Order 25.1, the thanks of the Senate be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in the address of His Excellency the President, delivered on Thursday, 9th November 2023, and further that the Senate notes the following reports submitted by His Excellency the President in fulfillment of Article of the Constitution laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 14th November 2023. 1. The 10th State of the Nation Address by His Excellency the President, delivered at the joint sitting of Parliament on Thursday, 9th November 2023. 2. The 10th Annual Report 2022-2023 on the measures taken and progress achieved in the realization of national values and principles of governance. And 3. The Annual Report to Parliament on the state of the national security, November 2023. And honorable members, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Again, honorable members, it is now 6:30 p.m. Time to adjourn the Senate. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 16th of November 2023 at 2:30 p.m.